Welcome to the Simplified Alerts informational podcast, where we explore how Simplified Alerts' powerful yet simple platform
Yeah.
helps organizations communicate with employees via SMS notifications.
Right.
In those urgent situations where you need to reach everyone fast.
That
And it looks like
absolutely.
you're really interested in using it to improve employee communication, especially during emergencies.
That's right.
What-
And we know this is especially important for those of you in safety management,
Right.
HR and IT, you're the ones responsible for keeping everyone informed and safe,
For sure.
especially when the unexpected happens.
You got it. So let's dive into why Simplified Alerts can be such a game changer.
Yeah.
We're talking about those times when every second counts.
Right.
Snowstorms, fires, those situations you hope never happen,
Yeah,
but need to be ready for.
exactly. And the thing is, in those moments, traditional communication methods often fall short.
Yeah.
Think about it. You send out an email during a snowstorm, but will people even see it in time if they're
Right.
already on the road?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in that situation, refreshing my inbox frantically.
Oh, yeah.
Not a fun way to start the day.
Not at all. And even if they do see it an hour later, does it really help? Email just isn't built for that kind of urgency.
Right.
Same with phone trees. They can easily break down, especially if you're trying to reach a lot of people quickly.
And don't even get me started on PA systems.
Oh, yeah.
They might work in a factory setting, but what about employees who are working remotely
Oh, right.
or out in the field?
Exactly. So that's where SMS comes in. It's the one communication channel that's practically guaranteed to reach people instantly.
Okay.
Think about it. 97% of Americans own mobile phones,
Wow.
compared to only 81% who even access work email regularly.
Wow, that's a huge difference. And I bet those phones are glued in people's hands too.
You're not wrong. The average text message is read within 90 seconds. That's 60 times faster than email.
Wow.
And because text messages are short and to the point, people actually remember what they read. We're talking a 91% retention rate during crisis simulations,
Oh, wow.
which is critical when you need people to act fast.
So SMS is fast, reliable, and easy to understand.
Yeah.
But what about when things get really chaotic?
Yeah.
Like during a major weather event, can it handle that kind of volume?
That's one of the things that makes SMS so powerful. Even when phone lines are jammed and internet access is spotty,
Really?
SMS often stays up and running. In fact, the National Emergency Management Association found that organizations using SMS as their primary communication method
Right.
saw evacuation times cut in half.
Wow.
That kind of speed can literally save lives.
Okay, so we've established that SMS is the way to go for emergency alerts.
Right.
But let's talk specifics. How can Simplified Alerts help in those heart-stopping moments?
Let's take a snowstorm, for example. It hits early in the morning. Roads are a mess, but some people are already on their way to work.
I've been there, white knuckles gripping the steering wheel, hoping I make it in one piece.
Not ideal. But with simplified alerts, you could send out an instant notification about a delayed start or office closure.
Right.
Employees would know to stay home, stay safe, and avoid a potentially dangerous commute.
Much better than finding out when you're already skidding down the highway.
Yeah.
What about other kinds of weather emergencies?
Simplified Alerts is built to handle all kinds of scenarios, from freezing temperatures to flash floods.
Okay.
You can get the word out quickly and efficiently.
So instead of scrambling to make individual phone calls or hoping people check their email,
Yeah,
I can just send out a quick text to everyone.
exactly. It's all about having that peace of mind,
Right.
knowing that you can reach your people when it matters most.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about situations that happen inside the workplace,
Yeah.
like a fire alarm or a power outage?
Those are great examples. And simplified alerts can be incredibly helpful in those situations, too.
Yeah.
Think about a sudden power outage. It might not be life-threatening,
Right,
but it can definitely disrupt the workday.
I've been there. Sudden darkness, computers shutting down.
Oh, yeah,
It can be pretty unnerving.
exactly. But with simplified alerts, you could immediately notify everyone,
Okay.
let them know what's going on, and provide updates on when power is expected to be restored.
Yeah.
It helps to minimize confusion and keeps everyone in the loop.
So instead of people wandering around in the dark, wondering what's happening,
Right.
they have clear instructions and updates right on their phones.
Exactly. It's about keeping everyone calm, informed, and safe no matter what the situation.
Okay, so we've talked about weather emergencies, power outages,
Right.
but what about more serious incidents? Things that could potentially put employees at risk.
Simplified Alerts is designed to handle those kinds of scenarios too. In fact, it can be a critical tool in situations like chemical spills,
Oh.
gas leaks, or even active shooter situations.
Those are definitely situations where every second counts.
Yeah.
How can simplified alerts help in those cases?
Think about a chemical spill in a lab or manufacturing facility. With simplified alerts, safety managers could instantly trigger an evacuation alert, providing clear instructions to employees and potentially preventing injuries.
So instead of relying on word of mouth or hoping people hear the alarm,
Right.
simplified alerts can ensure that everyone gets the message immediately.
Exactly. And in a situation like an active shooter event, it could be used to initiate a lockdown,
Wow.
provide real-time updates, and guide employees on how to stay safe.
I can see how that kind of immediate communication could be absolutely life-saving.
Yeah.
So simplified alerts isn't just for those big dramatic emergencies. It can handle a whole range of situations
Absolutely.
from the everyday to the unthinkable.
Exactly. It's about having that flexibility to communicate quickly and effectively in any situation that impacts your employees.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. It's clear that simplified alerts can be a powerful tool for keeping employees safe and informed.
Right.
But what about the platform itself? Is it easy to use, especially under pressure?
That's a great question. And one of the things that makes Simplified Alerts so effective is that it's designed for simplicity and speed. You don't need a PhD in technology to use it.
Right.
It's user-friendly, even in those high-stress moments when you need to get a message out fast.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about how it works?
Sure. One of the key features is the ability to create targeted groups.
Okay.
This means you can send specific messages to the right people.
Yeah.
So if there's an incident in a particular building, you can alert only the people who work in that building.
That's a great feature. No need to send a company-wide alert if it's not relevant to everyone.
Exactly. And because Simplified Alerts is cloud-based, you can access it from anywhere with an internet connection.
Okay.
So even if you can't physically get to the office, you can still send out those critical alerts.
So I could send an alert from my phone if I'm stuck at home during a snowstorm.
You got it. It's all about giving you the flexibility and control you need to manage any situation.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense. Yeah. But before we go any further, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the features and benefits of simplified alerts.
Sounds good. We'll be right back after a short break.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive even deeper into what makes simplified alerts so effective. We've talked about those big oh no moments.
Right.
But I'm curious about the less dramatic stuff. Can it help with those everyday situations that might not make headlines but still impact employees?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that really impressed me when we were digging into the research.
Okay.
Simplified Alerts isn't just for those break-the-glass emergencies. It's also incredibly useful for those smaller incidents that can still throw a wrench in the workday.
Give me an example. What kind of everyday emergencies are we talking about?
Think about something like a burst pipe that floods a server room.
Oh, yeah.
It might not be a life or death situation, but you definitely don't want employees wandering in there oblivious to the danger.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I could see it being helpful for things like
Right.
unexpected facility closures or even just letting people know that the coffee machine is down.
Exactly. It's all about having that flexibility to communicate quickly and efficiently in any situation that affects your employees.
Right.
Whether it's a major incident or just a temporary inconvenience.
So it's like having a Swiss Army knife of communication tools, always ready for whatever comes your way.
That's a great analogy. And the beauty of Simplified Alerts is that it allows you to be proactive.
Okay.
Rather than waiting for problems to arise and then scrambling to respond, you can anticipate potential challenges and have a plan in place to communicate effectively.
I like that. It's about creating a culture of preparedness, not just reacting when things go wrong.
Precisely. And that's something that really resonated with me as we were going through the material.
Yeah.
It's not just about having the technology, it's about having the mindset of being prepared for anything.
Okay, so I'm sold on the idea of being proactive. But I can also see some organizations being hesitant to adopt a new system. They might say, we've always done it this way, or it's too complicated to implement. What would you say to those folks?
I understand the resistance to change, but I think it's important to ask ourselves, are our current methods really serving us well?
Right.
Are we truly prepared to handle a wide range of situations, from major incidents to those everyday hiccups? And are we doing everything we can to keep our employees safe and informed?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
It's easy to get complacent, especially if you haven't experienced a major incident recently.
exactly. But as we've seen from the data and the real-world examples we've discussed, the potential consequences of ineffective communication during emergencies can be significant.
For sure. So let's say an organization decides to take the plunge and implement simplified alerts.
Okay.
what are some of the key steps involved in getting started?
Well, the first step is to really think about your specific needs and goals.
Okay.
What types of emergencies are you most concerned about? Who needs to be notified in each situation? What kind of information do you need to communicate?
So it's about tailoring the platform to your organization's unique circumstances.
Absolutely. Once you have a clear understanding of your needs, you can start setting up your account and creating those targeted groups we talked about earlier.
And how user-friendly is that process?
From what we've gathered, it's designed to be very straightforward. You can create groups based on departments, job roles, locations, or even custom criteria.
So, for example, if there's a fire alarm in a specific building, you could send an alert only to the people who work in that building.
Exactly. That level of granularity is crucial for ensuring that people receive only the information that's relevant to them.
Right.
You don't want to overwhelm people with unnecessary alerts, especially during a stressful situation.
That makes perfect sense. Now, what about crafting the messages themselves? Any tips for writing effective alerts?
That's a great question. Remember, clarity and conciseness are key. You want to get your message across quickly and efficiently without any ambiguity.
Right.
The research suggests using short, simple sentences, avoiding jargon or technical language, and sticking to the essential facts.
So something like, evacuate building A immediately due to fire alarm, would be much more effective than a long, convoluted message with a lot of unnecessary details.
Precisely. And don't forget to include clear instructions on what actions people should take, where should they go, who should they contact, what should they do if they need assistance.
All those practical details that can easily get overlooked in the heat of the moment.
Absolutely. And here's a tip that I found particularly helpful. Consider using a consistent format for your alerts.
Okay.
This will help people quickly recognize them as important and understand the information being conveyed.
So maybe always starting with the type of emergency, followed by the location and then the instructions.
Exactly. Consistency helps to create a sense of familiarity and reduces cognitive load during a stressful situation.
Makes sense. So we've talked about identifying your needs, setting up your account, creating groups, crafting messages. What's next?
Well, as we touched on earlier, training is a critical part of the process. You want to make sure that everyone in your organization understands how Simplified Alerts works, what types of alerts they might receive, and how to respond appropriately.
And that includes not just knowing how to receive the alerts, but also knowing what to do once they get them.
Right. It's about connecting the technology to your overall emergency preparedness plan.
Yeah.
Do you have designated evacuation routes?
Right.
Assembly points? A system for accounting for everyone's safety? Simplified Alerts can be a powerful tool for communicating those procedures and ensuring that everyone is on the same page.
So it's not just about sending out a message. It's about creating a culture of preparedness and empowering employees to take action.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've covered identifying your needs, setting up your account, creating groups, crafting messages, and training your employees.
Yeah.
What about testing the system? That seems pretty important.
It's absolutely essential. You need to make sure that your alerts are actually reaching the intended recipients.
Yeah.
That they're being delivered promptly and that people understand how to respond.
So it's not just a set it and forget it kind of system.
Definitely not. The research recommends regular testing. Ideally, at least once a quarter to ensure that everything is working as expected. You can run test scenarios for different types of emergencies,
Right.
evaluate the effectiveness of your communication, and identify any areas for improvement.
So it's an ongoing process of refining your system and making sure it's ready to go when you need it most. This has been a really insightful conversation, and I feel like we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this part of the episode, is there anything else you think our listeners should know about Simplified Alerts?
You know what's really stood out to me as we've been exploring this is that Simplified Alerts is more than just an emergency notification system. It's really a platform for building resilience and fostering a sense of community within an organization.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It's about going beyond just sending out alerts. It's about creating a culture where people feel connected, informed, and empowered to take care of themselves and each other.
Exactly. And in today's world where we're facing increasingly complex and unpredictable challenges, that kind of connection can make all the difference.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to pause. We'll be back soon with the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the more advanced features of Simplified Alerts and discuss some real-world case studies of how organizations are using the platform to enhance their emergency preparedness.
Looking forward to it. We'll be back after a short break.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into simplified alerts.
Yeah.
This time we're getting into the nitty-gritty, those extra features that really make it stand out from the crowd. And of course, we'll look at how real organizations are using it to make a difference.
You got it. Because as powerful as SMS is on its own,
Right.
Simplified Alerts doesn't just stop there. It's designed to go beyond simply sending a message. It's about making sure that message is received, understood, and acted upon.
Okay, I'm all ears. What kind of features are we talking about here?
Well, one of the big ones is delivery confirmation.
Okay.
In a true emergency, you can't just assume your message got through.
Yeah.
You need to know for sure.
Right.
Simplified Alerts takes that worry away.
So it tells me whether or not Bob got the snow day alert.
Not quite that personalized. You'd be drowning in notifications. But it does track message delivery status in real time.
Okay.
You can see who's received the alert, who hasn't, and who might need follow-up.
Okay.
It's especially useful if someone's phone is off or they're in an area with spotty reception.
That takes a huge weight off my shoulders, knowing I can actually see who still needs to be reached.
Yeah.
What other features help make sure those messages aren't just delivered but actually understood?
Two-way communication is a game changer here.
Okay.
With simplified alerts, you can go beyond those one-way blasts and have an actual conversation with your employees. They can reply to messages, ask questions, or even report their status, like confirming they're safe or need assistance.
Hold on. So I can actually use simplified alerts to check in on individuals, not just send out mass notifications.
It transforms what could be a one-sided announcement into a real-time dialogue. Imagine being able to ask, is everyone in this engineering department accounted for? And get individual responses back. That's powerful stuff.
Wow. It's like having a direct line to everyone, even in the middle of chaos.
Right.
What about language barriers? We live in such a diverse world.
Yeah.
How does simplified alerts handle that?
That's where multilingual support comes in. You can pre-translate your messages into multiple languages.
Oh, yeah.
So everyone gets those critical alerts in a language they understand.
That's incredible. No more scrambling to find a translator in the middle of an emergency. Talk about being prepared.
Right.
Now, this might seem like a silly question, but how do we know simplified alerts itself is going to stay up and running when we need it most? What about security?
Those are great questions. And the good news is Simplified Alerts is built with security and reliability in mind.
Okay.
It uses top-notch data encryption to keep your information safe. And the system has built-in redundancy.
Okay.
So even if one part goes down, there are backups in place to keep those alerts flowing.
Okay, so it's secure, reliable, user-friendly, and packed with features that go way beyond basic texting.
Right.
But I think what I'm really curious about are some real-world examples. How are organizations out there actually using simplified alerts to make a difference?
You're right. Seeing it in action is what really brings it home.
Yeah.
And the research provided some great examples. One that stood out to me was how universities are using simplified alerts to enhance campus safety.
Yeah.
You've got a huge population spread out across a wide area. Keeping everyone informed and safe is a massive challenge.
Absolutely. And universities have to deal with all sorts of things, weather emergencies, security threats, you name it.
Exactly. With simplified alerts, they can instantly notify students and staff about campus closures, emergencies, or even things like transportation disruptions.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of security knowing that information will get to people quickly when it's needed.
What other examples did you come across?
Hospitals are another great use case. In that fast-paced environment where every second counts, simplified alerts can be a game changer. They can use it for critical incidents, code alerts, staffing changes, shift updates, anything that requires clear and immediate communication.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Especially in a setting where a simple miscommunication could have serious consequences. Any other examples come to mind?
Manufacturing facilities are another great example.
Okay.
Think about those loud, busy environments where traditional communication methods might not be effective.
Right.
Simplified Alerts cuts through the noise and makes sure every employee gets the message.
Right.
Whether it's an evacuation alert, a safety warning, or even just a reminder about an upcoming training session.
So for anyone listening who's thinking, this sounds amazing, but is it really worth the investment?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I'd say Simplified Alerts is more than just an expense. It's an investment in peace of mind.
Right.
It's knowing you have a reliable, flexible, and secure way to reach your people when it matters most. It's about being prepared, not just reacting.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about shifting from, oh no, what do we do now, to we've got this.
Exactly. And Simplified Alerts can be that crucial tool that helps you make that shift.
Yeah.
It empowers you to be proactive, communicate effectively, and ultimately create a safer, more resilient organization.
Well said. I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been great.
We've gone from the basics of SMS to the advanced features that make Simplified Alerts so powerful. We've looked at real-world examples and seen how it's making a difference for organizations of all shapes and sizes.
For sure. And I think the biggest takeaway is that communication is key.
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes to safety and preparedness.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into Simplified Alerts. We hope this has given you a better understanding of how this powerful platform can help you keep your employees safe and informed.
Absolutely. And if you're ready to take your emergency preparedness to the next level,
Yes.
we encourage you to visit simplifiedalerts.com. There you can learn more about the platform, explore its features, and see how it can benefit your organization.
That's right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of employee communication.